crafty friends. Welcome to Stamp with Teah. I am Teah Woodward, an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. I'm located in Richland, Washington, and this is my scheduled YouTube live demonstration this week. And forgive the updo today. It's hot today. It's very, very hot here, and just protecting myself and keeping it cool from the very get-go. So my hair is up and off my neck. So anyway, welcome. I've got a couple of really pretty cards today that I'm going to demonstrate, and I'm demonstrating from the Textured Floral bundle. So I'm using the stamps and the dies, and they're really pretty. See how pretty that is? Isn't that gorgeous? That's 1 and 2. So I'm excited to demonstrate those. So I came on a couple of minutes early, and I'm going to maybe just go over a couple of other things real quick while we wait for a couple of people to jump on. There is a designer series paper sale going on right now. My hair is going to drive me crazy, and that plant in the background makes it look even worse. Oh well. Designer series paper sale going on right now. It's 15% off, and that's really easy to find if you go to stampinup.com and you go to the specials and you go through the drop down menu. Then you can it actually says designer series paper sale, and you can see all of them. They're all listed right there. And if you click on them, if you click on a specific group of papers, you can actually click on them and you can see them page by page, so that you can see exactly what you're buying if you're interested in buying something. So there's that. There is a starter kit promotion going on right now, and that is for $99, you can get $155 worth of merchandise, and normally that's $125 worth of merchandise. So that's an extra $30 worth of merchandise in your starter kit. And one of the benefits, there's a whole bunch of benefits to joining. One of the benefits is that you get early access. So for instance, July 6th, we have an online exclusives that will go live to customers, and it's available to all of our demonstrators right now. So a whole month early, our demonstrators can purchase that. When you join, you get 20% off on your purchases. That's why I joined. Then you get to meet all kinds of people that like to craft and like to create paper products or paper crafting, and that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the energy that people bring to the to paper crafting. So that's a lot. It's just a lot of fun. So anyway, there's that. If you are at all interested, my hair's going to drive me crazy. I'm not used to wearing it up. If you are at all interested, give me a shout. The name of my team is Paper Blessings, and we have a monthly team meeting. We try to have some monthly challenges, like I gotta quit fussing with my hair. We have monthly challenges, like maybe make cards that are where we use a color family, or we use maybe it's Christmas themed, or maybe it's Daisy themed, or something like that. We try to make it fun. Anyway, I think I've used up enough time that we can get started. I do want to give a quick disclaimer. We do have a big windstorm that's about to hit any minute. I did see that the winds are picking up, so there is a chance that I could lose my internet. I hope not. I've got everything pre-cut and pre-stamped, pre-cut, so that I can go as fast as possible to hopefully not lose my internet. That didn't really make sense, did it? I'm hoping to go fast enough to beat the storm. How does that sound? That sounds better. All right. Let's see, what else can I tell you? There's a new paper pumpkin. I know that it has a beach theme. I didn't catch the name of it and I didn't print it out. I'm sorry. And then if you purchase with me, any purchases over $35, I will send you either an embellishment or a trim, whatever it is that I have going that particular week. And then this week, with a purchase of over $35, I will send you the kits to make these cards. So in this case, what that would mean is I would send you the pre-cut and pre-scored card base, the mats, and then I have a die cut layer here. I would send you that die cut layer. And then I can't send you anything that's stamped. So I would have to send you the cardstock for you to stamp and do your own die cutting of your own flower and leaves. And I would send you the label to make your sentiment. I will send you the bow with a dot on it and your sequins. So that's and an envelope. So that's what a kit would look like. Then if your purchase bumps up to $50, you would get the kit for these two cards, kits for these two cards, the trim or embellishment that I mentioned earlier, and the June tutorial bundle that I participate in. And this month there are 47 projects in that tutorial bundle. So, and then I send this to you to your email and you download it. And it's got all of the written instructions for you to make 47 different projects. So that's quite the deal. So that's the specials that I'm running for the month of June. And with that, my friend, oh, I guess before I turn it down, I should go ahead and make sure that all my links are working and that I'm really live everywhere that I said that I would be live. So hit this button and we'll see if I'm actually live. I am. That's a good sign. And then we'll go over here and we'll hit refresh and cross our fingers. And it says I'm live. And it looks like I am. Yay! All right, with that, I'm going to move this keyboard out of the way and turn the camera down and get started. I'm excited to share these with you. These are actually, they look a little bit complicated and they're not. They're really quite simple. All right, here we go. And make sure I'm not on that button. And clicked in good. And it looks like I'm clamped in good enough here. There we go. So here we are. These are the two cards I'm going to make today. I'm going to make this one first, this one second. I'm using the Textured Floral stamp set. It has 14 photopolymer stamps, has all of these flower bits in it, has 3 sentiments, and then the coordinating dies, oh, I didn't count how many dies it has, but it has a whole bunch of dies. So it has 4 detail dies, and then all the rest are outline dies that cut out the stamped images. Then for the card that I'm going to start with, I also used this background die from the, there are 2 dies that come in this package, and I've only used this one. This is from the Gorgeous Gardens background dies. All right. So I'm in keeping with my promise to continue to show you the new colors that we came out with. So for the whole month of June and part of last May, I am showing you, again, here's Lemon Lolly. So that one's, I've been showing you that one for quite a while. Here I'm using Bubble Bath, and I've used around the edge, I'm using Berry Burst. And I'm using it, I'm using the Berry Burst in kind of a half tone. Pushing this chair out of the way. Like I said, I've pre-die cut and pre-stamped everything. I am going to show you a couple of tips though. All right, first tip is, so I already die cut the background stamp out of the white cardstock, or not the stamp, but the Gorgeous Gardens background die. And I want to apply it to a piece of the Lemon Lolly cardstock. Before I cut this out, when it was solid white cardstock, I applied adhesive sheet to the back. Peeled away only the, okay, so there's an adhesive sheet and it has a carrier on it. You peel away the back, you apply, and then it leaves a carrier. No, I'm saying that wrong. It leaves the background and the adhesive, and you apply that to the cardstock, then you run it through. When I run these through my cut and emboss machine, because my plates have been used a little bit, can you see they're a little bit etched up? That means that they're not getting a good clean hard surface. I run these dies through at least twice before I take them off of the cardstock. That's just to make sure that I get a good clean cut. Take a sip of water here. All right, so then the other thing is, now that I have already got the adhesive on the back, I'm actually going to be cutting this whole piece down to 3 3¾ by 5, but I am going to first apply so I'm going to turn this into a sticker by peeling off that back, and I'm going to apply it to my Lemon Lolly cardstock. There we go. So I started, before I die cut this, I started with a piece that was, excuse me, that was 4¼ by 5½, and same thing with the Lemon Lolly. And then I'm just going to apply one right on top of the other. But I'm actually going to cut it down smaller. But before I cut it down, I'm going to make sure that all my adhesive is nice and stuck down. Isn't that beautiful? That white on that Lemon Lolly is just so beautiful. I'm going to pull that up close so that you can see that. Yeah, not only is it hot, but our humidity level is dropping dramatically. Excuse me. Causing a red flag warning for fire. Okay, so I'm going to cut off one side. And I think that went a little crooked on me, so I might have to do it again. I'm going to just move it just a tad. Try it again. There we go. Solid cut. Let's see. Am I in the camera? I think I'm in the camera. I'm going to turn that around. So I needed 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to make my 5 by cutting like such. Where'd it go? All right, and by 5. I guess one of the things I should mention about that die, let me make this cut and then I will show you where'd that die go. Right here. So this die does not have a border on it. This die literally just the vines end and the leaves end at the edge. there's no border. So the border that you saw on my paper was from the perimeter of my paper that I had cut, and I had placed my die right in the middle. That's why I had a border. Hope that makes sense. All right, so now this, I'm going to mat on a piece that's just 1/8 of an inch bigger all the way around. So if this is 3 3/4 by 5, this will be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I'm loving this gorgeous garden background die. It's the second time I've used it. One was for a sympathy card over the weekend. There we go. And it was just a basic card. As you can see, I mean, this would almost make its own beautiful card. Throw a ribbon and a sentiment on that, and that could be its own card. All right, so that is nice and matted now. Going to take my card base, which was 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, and I'm going to burnish that center. I haven't done any fun folds for a while, and I've been looking at my file of fun folds. Actually, it's not a file, it's 4 enormous notebooks that I have. So I may be getting back into that. But how gorgeous is that right there? Just like standalone, beautiful. All right. I'm going to adhere this flat because I'm adding dimension to this flower, so we don't need to add dimensionals to the back of this because we're going to start to build everything up too big to actually be able to mail this. Now, if you're giving it away in person, that would be an option. But if you're mailing it, we need to make it a little bit more real. I like to use the green glue because I like to have time to scooch everything around. All right, our card front is in place. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere my inner matte layer while I'm at it. I like to get everything off the desktop as fast as possible. That's not a style, that's just a personal preference. Maybe even a personality trait. All right, my mat is in and appears to be straight. I can set that off to one side. So I've already stamped and die cut the bits that make the flower, but I do want to show you how I created this two-tone effect on this flower. So I just have a piece of scrap here. Actually, I'm just going to use this. So I'm using Bubble Bath and Berry Burst. Do you like this color combination? Do you like the this pink on the yellow? So because my stamp pads are brand new, they're very, very juicy. So in order for them on my photopolymer to not create a thank you, Polly, I appreciate it. I really love yellow and pink together. In order for the ink to not make a bubbly kind of effect on my photopolymer, I'm actually using the back of a plastic spoon and pushing my ink down a little bit to create a slightly drier effect on the top of the pad. It won't stay that way, it will come back up. And that's how I'm inking my pad. And then I'm going to take a sponge dauber and get just a little bit of ink on the edge or on the tip of my sponge dauber. This is a piece of scrap. I'm going to just dab a little bit off because it's very saturated. And I'm just going to go gently around the edge. And it might not look like it's doing much of anything, but you will see shortly that it is very much so doing something. I'm glad to see your name on here, Polly. And then I like to hit a little bit of color in the center of the flower. And holding that against that white background. Oh, I did forget to bring in my, because I'm using photopolymer, the table that I actually have here has a little bit of a bow in it, and so I like to use my Stampin' Piercing mat to get a better stamped image with my photopolymer. For some reason I don't have the same image or same issue with my cling stamps, my red rubber stamps. And there is one of the flowers. Easy peasy. Let me clean that off. And then for the leaves, I'm going to close these ink pads. So while I was making my demo card, I did stick one finger right in a pad. For the leaves, I did not stamp off or anything else. This is Granny Apple Green. It's not a new pad, so it's not too juicy, but it's not juicy either. And I've got really good color coverage. So that is how I did that. Then when I go to cut these out, for anybody who is unaware, I take my die, I line it up. I don't need to go through the entire process because I've already done mine. I bring a piece of, I like to use Post-it tape, but in this case I have some art tape on hand that I'm trying to use up. I'm trying to use up some stuff that is just filling up drawers that doesn't need to be there. I hold my die in place. You could use washi tape or this art tape or Post-it, and run it through my cut and emboss machine, and then I've got my flowers. Now, one other thing I want to show you before I start assembling my card. I want to put my die back so I don't lose it. In order to make my sentiment, I used Berry Burst to stamp this, but I didn't want it to be the pure dark Berry Burst. I wanted it to be a half tone, so I did a stamp off. And then also, I didn't have a label that was the right size, so I want to show you how I made a label the right size. Yep, see? Stuck my finger right in it. If I would have had this sitting in the right place, that wouldn't have happened, but I didn't. All right. And I have a piece of scrap here. So stamping at full strength, stamp off, stamping. So I've got that beautiful half tone. Cleaning off my stamp so I don't put my finger in it. Closing my pad. Okay, so now I'm bringing in believe it was the third to largest. I've brought in a square from the Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm using the third to largest die. And I'm going to center it from side to side and then bring up the bottom to the position that I want it in. So that's about right. I'm going to run this through my machine off camera. Now I'm going to move the die, and you'll actually feel it click in place if you're using a stitch die, like this is a stitch die. The teeth on the other side of the die will actually click right into the dots, or the little stitch lines here. Tape that in place, run it through the cut and emboss machine again. And voila. We now have a label that's the right size for the sentiment that we used. So that was a little trick I wanted to show you. All right, move this to one side, clean this off, move this aside. All right, let's get back to assembling a card. Oh, I guess I didn't stamp the inside of this. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so to make this one bigger flower, I took 4 smaller flowers and I just kind of arranged them like such, so that they would make a bigger flower. Does that kind of make sense? And then I glued these together, or adhered these together, and then I used a dimensional behind the top one. So I'm going to just use a little bit of adhesive here. That. And this is just my interpretation of this flower. In and of itself, this would be a beautiful flower all by itself. I just wanted a bigger flower. The person I'm sending this to happens to love peonies, and this was as close as I could get with what I have right now to making peonies. Her birthday is next week. I think I mentioned last week that I have a whole bunch of different events going on. People with retirements and graduations and birthdays and sympathy. All right. I'm going to put, hi Carol. I'm glad you're on here. Oh, I didn't really need that 5th one on there, but it was stuck to my finger. All right. So I'm going to do something about like that. And then I'm going to adhere these leaves . About like such. Isn't that pretty? I just love these pinks and greens together. And I'm just adhering them. You could use mini glue dots. I have done that in the past for this type of a flower arrangement. Let's see, did I leave enough room to... I did not. So this is going to come under I really want that bigger leaf right there. So I should have been more careful, and I should have glued this one first and this one second, but I didn't. So now I'm having to improvise, but that's okay. That's the beauty of paper crafting, right? Is we get to make up the rules as we go. There we go, that's what I wanted. This is something about like that. All right, so that is now ready to be applied to the front of the card. So this flower ended up a little bit larger than that one. Nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure that my leaf does not extend beyond the edge of the card. This is going to have dimensionals behind it. This card went together kind of quick, didn't it? Quick, quick, quick. The next one's even quicker. All right, I am going to adhere this down. Pretty sure, yeah, that's what I did. Pretty sure that's what I did. And you all know I love dimensionals, but sometimes, all right. Wanted to be careful not to drag that across this background, because even though I have an eraser that I can take it off with, the glue off of the paper with, it could really rough up this delicate die cut. So I want to be careful to avoid that if I can. Let's put our sentiment on, about like such. I am going to use the sheer ribbon combo pack. I'm going to use the pink that I think most closely matches the bubble bath. And this doesn't need a huge fancy bow because it just needs a sweet bow. That combo pack of ribbon, it has yellow, which I think is supposed to be lemon lolly. It has a blue, which I'm assuming is supposed to be like the azure afternoon, I guess. I haven't actually compared it to any of the card swatches. And then this pink. And there's a little bit of silver edge on all of them. Can you see that silver edge on there? It's a pretty ribbon. get a mini glue dot. And I'm going to stick that right about in there. Come on, little bow, fluff. There we go. And trim. And then to finish off the card front, I am going to use the pastel adhesive backed sequins. I'm going to use the light pink. And I'm using the bigger sequins because this is a big blossom. I looked at using the little ones and I felt like they kind of disappeared with this arrangement. So, oops. One here. So again, with a purchase of $35 or more, I will send you the kits to make these cards. All right. You know, I didn't stamp the inside of my concept card, so I need to figure out what I'm going to stamp on the inside of this one. Let me pull the... Actually, you know, just even that single flower would be pretty. Just the single... Or the daisy-ish looking one. I think I could do that one in the pink. I've got that mounted over here for the other card. Let's do that. If I don't like it, I can flip it over. And my dauber, and I'm not even going to add any more ink to the dauber. And I'm just going to hit the tips of these petals. Call that good. Oh, and I didn't use my, I don't love it. I don't love it. It's so subtle. Well, let me try. Oh, I know why. I know what'll make it better. I will love it. I've got this. Here's the center of the flower. And if I stamp this off, I just need to find a scrap. Here's my scrap. Stamp, stamp. Okay. Stamp, stamp. Not my favorite. Let's try one more time. What if this is not being my favorite situation? So, first of all, I know I need that. Second of all, I cleaned that off just now. So there it is. And that's in the pink. I don't like that flower in the pink. So that's what I'm going to change. I'm going to go back to my big flower. I'm going to go back to my big flower. Just need to give it a little bit of pizzazz with a little bit of leaf. So Just need to plan out my there we go. I'm gonna like this better, I already know. I'm gonna go back to my big flower and get my pink, my bubble bath. And then put my color around the edge. And that's better. More better for the inside of this card. All right. Close all these up. Make a safe area for me to bring my card over to adhere this to the inside. There we go. See, that's better. Now I know when I go to finish off my concept card, I know what I need to do to it. Okay, and then I see something, because I flipped my cardstock over, I have a hard ridge, which is from my paper cutter, so I'm just going to take my bone folder and I'm going to smooth out that hard ridge so that it's folded the other direction. There we go. And so now nobody knows that I even flipped my cardstock over, which probably only other paper crafters would even know. So there's card number 1. What do you think? Do you like it? Let's see, who do we have for comments on here? Oh, hello, Ramona. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, now we are going to move on to card number 2. Card number 2 is a lot easier. And not that the first card was hard. So here is card number 2. This one has less layers. Sweet and simple. This one I'm using Boho Blue and Misty Moonlight, a little bit of soft sea foam, and then we have some crumb cake stamped off in the background. So our card base is the Boho Blue, again with the 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Let's give that a nice little crease. This is a sweet card. Then for the card front and for the message liner both, I used the scalloped contour dies, and this is the second to largest die. So this is, there are a couple of more dies that go with this set. There's a flower and a border. But this is the die that I used for these. So the only stamping, looks like I'm missing a flower. There it is. There we go. So these flowers, again, already stamped. They were stamped just the same way as the, actually, I'll demo that as well because it's not exactly the same. I don't want to misrepresent. And let me get the correct sentiment die out, or stamp out. Switching from one to the other card often takes a little bit of, there we go, a little bit of work. So for this one, I'm using the stamp that says, with a grateful heart. Aw, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I am glad everybody likes it. Okay, so where did I set my, it's gotta be right in front of me. There it is. So I am going to use Misty Moonlight to stamp the sentiment on the bottom of the card front. And because it's photopolymer and I'm using clear blocks, I should be able to line that up very easily. And because I said that, I probably, well, let's see. I did okay. Yay! And I'm just going to put that stamp right away. All right, set that aside. I have pre-die cut from Misty Moonlight. Okay, so I'm going to pull these dies back out. Remember I mentioned that there were some detail dies and then these outline dies. So I used this detail die with Misty Moonlight, whoops, with the Misty Moonlight, and then I used this detail die with the soft sea foam. And set those aside for a moment. And they're very delicate. They're very, very sweet, which is what made me go to the scalloped contour dies for this. All right. So for these flowers, of which I'm only using 3 of, except 1 on the inside of the card. So I'm just pulling in a piece of scrap. Again, a very juicy pad, bringing in my plastic spoon. I'm just pushing the ink out of the way, just kind of pushing it aside. So that I don't get that bubbly. As the more I use this, I won't have to do this. But because it's so new, like this is basically the first time I'm using it. So here is my flower. And I really wanted that middle to be popped up just a little bit more. In these stamps, there are some different little things, little details that you can add to your flowers. And I picked this one here. And I chose Misty Moonlight. See if I remember this correctly. It's a few hours ago. I stamped off. Make sure it's turned the right direction. And that's how I pumped up that flower a little bit before I die cut it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp my one flower on the inside for my message liner. And then we're done with our stamping. We can just assemble the card. And stamping off my center. And there we go. Clean those, set those aside, close up my ink pads. Oh, actually, I do have a little bit more stamping to do. That's on this front right here. I'm going to apply a little bit of crumb cake, kind of that grunge look to the background. Just have to find the stamp. Okay. And then I'm bringing in my scrap so I can stamp off over here. And I'm going to kind of follow what I did on this card. So So stamp off. And I am just creating a background that's just real subtle. It helps just give a little bit of lift to that foliage. It looks fine. I'm gonna call that good. Can you even see that? Yeah, you can see that on the camera. All right, now the stamping is done. Get rid of that. Move that aside. So I am going to apply a little bit of adhesive to the back bottom of these branches here. Just a few little dots. Well, that's the, oh, there we go. Once it starts coming out, it'll be fine. And right there. All right, and then I line up those branches at the bottom. Whoops, 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 whoops. My hands are starting to be sticky from being hot and sweaty. It's just so hot. And I have air conditioning, but it's still hot. All right, letting that adhere. Oops, kicking over my paper trimmer. There we go. I always keep it right by my right foot so that if I have to recut anything on the fly, I can do it really quickly. But every now and then, it gets underfoot. All right. And just need to, I'm not going to glue it all down. I'm just hitting some highlight spots. And that looks about right. That looks about right. Looks about the same as the other card. Now, these flowers, I'm going to put dimensionals on. I'm going to put dimensionals, one dimensional on each except for one. I'm going to put two dimensionals on, so too thick. And I'm going to turn these over and you're going to see that I had some other stamping on the other side. Because the beauty of some of this is that we can use both sides of the paper, right? Okay, so now I am going to put one flower here. Super easy. Another flower here, and then this is the one with the two. And just bringing that in right there. Then I'm going to tie a linen bow, linen thread bow. Actually, before I even do that, I can go ahead and adhere this right to this card front. What do you think? Was this card fast enough for you? course, it helps when everything's been pre-prepped, right? And this is oops, anybody who watches me normally knows that I like a lot of layers, and this is a lot less layers than I normally do, but I like this card. I like it a lot. It still feels like a solid card to me. Might as well go ahead and put my liner on the inside, my message liner. Now, if you happen to be the customer of mine that made a purchase last night, you will get these kits as part of your thank you gift. Thank you for your purchase and selecting me as your demonstrator. I much appreciate it. I'm very blessed by all of the people that I have met since I've moved to Tri-Cities. All right, now let's put that linen, got a little bit of glue right there. Let's put that linen thread bow on. I had a pretty decent little business before I moved here, but after I moved here, it really took off. Even when everything was in chaos and I didn't get to be live. So I'm really appreciative of everybody here. It's been amazing. I think I might have lost control of this one. Let's see. Maybe not. Oh, that's actually not too bad. Okay, that's going to go there. So before I'm going to get a mini glue dot. And then I have some gems that I'm going to put on here, and they're new gems. And this card is actually the first time I've ever used them. They're called tinsel gems. And to be honest, I don't think the catalog does them justice. They're much prettier in person. Where'd they go? They're there. So they are called tinsel gems. And there's 3 different colors. And I'm using the ones that come close to looking like Misty Moonlight. I keep laying down my tools in places that make it hard for me to find them. So I'm going to lay one here, one over here, and one over here. Whoops, I picked that one right back up. Let me try that again. Here we go. And my friends, there we are. We have completed card number 2. And did I make it? I made it! I made it with a couple minutes to spare. My goal is to be doing this in under an hour. So there we are. I hope you like these. Thank you for joining me today. And again, with a purchase of $35 or more, I will send out these kits to you. I can't send any stamped images. Oh, thank you, Polly. I can't send any stamped images, but I can send the cardstock for you to stamp your own images. Thank Thank you for joining me. Biggest of hugs, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And until next week, bye-bye.